welcome to New York City Atheists Live on Tape, brought to you by New York City Atheists Incorporated. I'm your host, Dennis Horvitz, the David Letterman of the Hopelessly Damned. We are in the middle of a series of lectures by Dave Silverman, who is the national spokesperson for American Atheists Incorporated, and this is a continuation of a presentation that we started last week. We hope you will sit back, stay tuned, and enjoy the rest of this presentation.
Let's go.
Okay. Thank you for coming back again. My name is David Silverman. I'm the national spokesperson for American Atheists. Quick disclaimer, everything that I say is my personal opinion. It is not necessarily the opinion of New York City Atheists or of American Atheists Incorporated. At the first part of this presentation, I talked about the strategies around a debate. Remember, we're talking about debating a whole bunch of different kinds of opponents, and you're going to take bits and pieces of this. I'm giving a presentation from the perspective of a formal debate. You're going to take bits and pieces of it. Hopefully you'll be armed to get more vocal about your atheism, more vocal about who you are, and be less timid, hopefully, about engaging in a discussion. Number one thing to remember about a debate is, of course, what the win is. Your win is going to be your viewers, not your opponents. Your win comes from your viewers. That's the number one thing to remember. You're going to have your strategy outlined before you go. You're going to write your open and your close in advance. You're going to make predictions in your open, and those predictions will come true in the close. Like your opponent will not give one bit of evidence in the support of God. That's a good prediction that you'll make in the open, and that's a good prediction that will happen in the close. So you're going to put that into the close. I talked about a couple of strategies, my favorite of which is the broaden and reverse. The important thing to remember here about the broaden and reverse is that it is at the same time defensive and offensive. Okay? It is going to take an attack. You're going to be attacked more often than you will be attacking. You're going to take the attack, you're going to turn it around, you're going to throw it right back in his face. You think this proves your God? Well, everybody thinks it proves their God. Why is your God different? That's a defense and an offensive move at the same time. That's a great thing. Ignorance of fact is not evidence of fiction. Again, it's a defensive move and an offensive move because it makes your opponent look like he's just making his stuff up, which, by the way, he is. Okay? I'm going to go into just a few strategies now, then we're going to take some questions. We're in a time constraint again, so I'm going to just go straight through the offensives. The first thing that you need to go into, I said you had to have a good number of good solid facts. And remember, your win. Your win is the audience. The audience needs to remember things in order for you to win the debate. Therefore, you need to give the audience good, memorable stuff. And what do they remember? They remember zeros. They love zeros. They love definitive statements like none and like all. For instance, of the thousands of gods that were ever invented by man, 0% of them have been proven true. Okay? Zero. In the world right now, there is zero proof of an existence of any life form that doesn't die. There is zero proof of intelligent design. And of the research universities in the world, the number of research universities that actually consider intelligent design as a valid scientific theory, 0. Okay? Nice, memorable numbers. 0 beings with power, whatever power is. 0 beings that can create matter and energy. 0 psychic ability. 0 evidence of life after death. Okay? 0 evidence anywhere for the existence of any gods ever. On and on and on. Nice, definitive statements that are really, really memorable, and your opponent cannot refute them. All right? Another offensive strategy. Of course, again, you're playing to win. Don't pussyfoot around the subject. Don't be politically correct. If your opponent is down, kick him while he's down. Okay? Drive him into the ground. If you shoot him down, you keep shooting. Okay? A nice solid barrage. If you win on a point, don't, you hear the audience shuffling around because you know you made a point. Do not let him come back. Keep shooting. Boom, boom, boom. And you kind of have those zeros right at the top of your head. And you'll be able to fire them. Boom, boom, boom. And rapid fire. You'll drive him into the ground. The audience loves it. And most importantly, they will remember it. All right? Shock value is memorable. I dare God to kill me right here, right now. Oh my goodness, you do that in a church, you're going to get some serious reaction out of that. You talk to God? Will you name me one number in tomorrow's lottery? I mean, ask the all-powerful, omniscient ruler of the universe to give me one number in tomorrow's lottery. Just one. There's 6. Pick one. Oh, it doesn't work that way. No kidding. You know, a little sarcasm goes a long way. It really shows what's going on. I don't have a problem with sarcasm. I don't have a problem with being ruthless. The rapture is coming any day now. You know what, Anton? For the last 1,800 years, the Christians have been saying the rapture is coming any day now. Will you tell me that the rapture is going to come within the next 5 years, you think? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So if everybody here will remember that in 2011, Anton was wrong. If we're all alive in 2011, Anton was wrong. And you'll see my opponent, Anton, really start to squirm. Oh, maybe it's maybe 10 years? Oh, definitely within 10 years. All right, so we're all going to remember that in 2016, Anton was wrong. Well, you know, maybe it'll be longer than that. Well, then what's the rush? You know, we got years and years and years. You know, it's been 1,800 years since you guys started claiming that. When is it going to happen? Make it stick. The whole idea is to make sure the audience remembers the year that Anton, that your opponent is going to be wrong. Fact is on your side, but emotion is on their side. Okay? Emotionally, religion is a much prettier picture than atheism. You have to know that. You have to acknowledge it, and you have to accept it. It's a beautiful picture to say we're all going to live forever. It's a beautiful picture to say all the bad guys go to hell and get punished. All the good guys go to heaven. And when you die, you see all your dead relatives again. Wonderful. Wonderful. It's also a wonderful picture to say there is no starvation in the world. There's no disease. The World Trade Center still stands. And all those people are alive and well. It's a great thing. It is fantasy. That's why they call it fantasy. And put it just like that. That's why they call it fantasy. That's why it's prettier. Of course it's prettier. Of course it's happier. Everybody all lives happily ever after. That's great. Doesn't make it true. Just makes it a good fantasy. Sometimes reality sucks. Reality has to suck sometimes. Okay? Double meaning words. I'm just going to talk very briefly about double meaning words. They're going to take these offensives on you, and they're going to try and fool you with double meaning words. Faith, spirit, and theory are really the 3 words that you have to keep your eye out on. Okay? I have faith that the sun will rise tomorrow. I have faith in my wife. I have faith in my friends. Not so much faith in you, Dennis. But, but that's not the same faith as a God in the sky. Okay? That's not the same faith. The faith in God in the sky is a blind faith. The faith in my friends and my family is an experiential faith. 2 different kinds of faith. One valid, one not. Okay? Spirit, like I said, is a spirit a ghost floating in the sky, or is spirit get up and go? Make sure you firmly define that. Theory, if you're going up against somebody who brings up evolution theory, go in there armed. Because there's a very big difference between a scientific theory and a philosophical theory. A scientific theory has to be provable, disprovable, and repeatable. Okay? If it's not, it's a hypothesis. Okay? A philosophical theory needs no proof. A philosophical theory can be anything from the very, very valid to the completely asinine. Okay? It can be anything somebody dreams up. It can be something very thought out. But it can also be something that's not thought out at all. It's all a philosophical theory. Okay? So don't let people think that the theory of evolution is not scientific fact. It is scientific fact. 100% sure fact. They call it a theory because it's provable, disprovable, and replicable. Okay? They don't call it a hypothesis. All right? So your strategy on that would be to call them on it. Every time they come out with that, you beat them right down. Because if you make that make sense to your audience, they'll see it. They'll see it, and they'll see your opponent for the weak position that he's taking. Subject changes. Your opponent will change the subject. if you back him into a corner. This is a great big sign to you that says you are winning the argument. If they change the subject, you are winning the argument. You have two things to do when they change the subject. Number one, acknowledge the change. I went on Hannity and Combs maybe a year and a half ago, and every time that son of a gun got backed into a corner, he changed the subject. And every time, I'm talking about Sean now, every time he changed the subject, I acknowledged it. You want to talk about the Boy Scouts? You want to talk about God on the coins? Okay, we can do that. I'm a nice guy. It's your show. We can change the subject. But they don't like that, because now your viewers are acknowledging in their minds that this guy is changing the subject mid-sentence. Okay? The next thing that you need to do if somebody changes the subject is make a decision whether or not you're going to allow it to happen. You're in control. Okay? You're in control. Anton, you want to talk about, we're having a discussion about evolution. You want to talk about the Boy Scouts? I'll be happy to talk about the Boy Scouts at another time. But right now, I want you to address the point I made about evolution. Okay? There's absolutely no reason that you should allow your opponent to change the subject unless you want them to. Okay? When if I'm on, Hannity's show, I usually let him, but I acknowledge it, but I allow it because it's in his show. But if it's a debate on an open stage, no. We change subject when I say we change subjects, not when my opponent says we change subjects. The next thing that you're going to get on that subject is multiple subjects at one time. If you're talking about evolution, and again, Anton comes at me with the Boy Scouts and God on the coins and we are a Christian nation, in one sentence. First thing that you do, of course, acknowledge it. You're changing the subject, but you've changed the subject 3 times in one sentence. Your next step is to chide your opponent. How in the world can I address 3 subjects, 4 subjects? You just barrage me with a whole bunch of subjects. I'm not going to address all those in one question. I'll be happy to address them today, but right now, I'm going to pick the one subject that he mentioned, the one subject that I want to talk about, the one subject that means the win in my head, and I'm going to barrage him back. So if somebody comes at you with multiple strategies, with multiple attacks, your first thing is to acknowledge the multiple attacks, chide your opponent for giving you multiple attacks that you can't refute in the time allotted, pick your favorite subject and demolish him with it. And then close it off by saying, now that I've said my piece, if you want, we can change the subject. Guess who's in control? Guess who's calling the shots? I've knocked him down, and now, by suggesting that we change the subject, guess what? He's not going to have the chance, or he's going to have the choice of changing the subject to one of the things that he's already broached, or, and if he does that, he's not going to be able to refute my counterpoint. Okay? So he can choose between going after my counterpoint or going after the subject that he's already broached. Either way, he loses. He doesn't get his point across. Okay? Either way, he loses something. Again, multiple attacks, a sure sign that you're winning. Multiple attacks, changing of the subjects, sure signs that you are winning. I'm going to skip that one. Here's some good facts and factoids for you to go into an argument with, okay? Does everybody here know what the Treaty of Tripoli is?
I've heard of it.
Okay. This is something that should go on your notes, okay? The Treaty of Tripoli. The Treaty of Tripoli, if somebody comes up to you and says, we are a Christian nation, you're going to propose a hypothetical argument. Okay, so you think this is a Christian nation, and I think that it's not a Christian nation. Now, if you were to give to me a letter, a document, signed by all the founding fathers that said we are a Christian nation, and you were to show it to me, and I were to say, no, we're still not a Christian nation, you'd think I was a hypocrite, wouldn't you? Yes. And likewise, if, hypothetically, I were to take a document, I were to find a document that was signed by all the founding fathers, and said we are not a Christian nation, and you were to say, no, we certainly are, then you would be the hypocrite, right? Yes. Okay. You've set your trap. The Treaty of Tripoli is the first treaty ever signed by America. Okay? It was penned by order of George Washington. It was signed by President John Adams. It was ratified unanimously by the founding Senate. Read aloud in the Senate and ratified unanimously. And it says, among other things, that the government of the United States is not in any sense founded in the Christian religion. It is the smoking gun. It is the silver bullet. And you can go online, just do a Google search for Treaty of Tripoli, and you can find it, and you can print it, and you can show it. And you can watch your opponent squirm after he's admitted that if he doesn't give it up, he would be hypocritical. And you can distribute it to your audience members, and you win the point. You win the point. You can't get away from that. It is a document signed by the Founding Fathers that says, no, we're not. And there are some lame defenses to it, but you know what? None of them are worth it. None of them actually go against it. Now, 9 to 12% of Americans are non-religious. 2 to 4% are Jews. Okay, do the math. That means every single person you're ever going to talk to knows more atheists than they think they know. Myself included, all of you included. Because everybody knows a lot more Jews than they know atheists, right? You think about it, everybody knows a lot more Jews than they know atheists. Put that out there. Make them start looking around. Your atheists are in your churches. Your atheists are in your schools. There's more than twice as many atheists as there are Jews. Not an exact measurement, because a lot of Jews are atheists, but let's not get into that, okay? Even with the good election that we had, and we had a great election, folks. I'm sure you all know. We had a real good election. But as of right now, at the state level and at the national level, no representatives are outed atheists. None. Zero at the state level or at the national level, okay? Lots of Jews, lots of gays. Some people actually wear magic underwear in Congress, but there are no atheists, okay? No out-of-the-closet atheists. That's correct. Yes, that's correct. I want to make sure you understand that. No out-of-the-closet atheists, okay? There are some closeted atheists, very, very few, but they are there, but they will not admit it. They will not admit it. Here's another note, a nice little point for you to remember. The first religion was about 100,000 years ago. It was invented by Neanderthals, and they prayed to bears. Do you know why they prayed to bears? Because... What? No, they didn't kill bears. But if you put the food out, the bears would eat it and not the people. Okay, it was a sacrifice. And you know what happened every year? All the bears died. They died all winter. And then in the spring, they were resurrected. They were resurrected. Resurrection in the spring. Resurrection in the spring. Where does that ring a bell? Resurrection in the spring. Yeah, the Neanderthals thought that up, folks. And that's a good provable thing. It was done 100,000 years ago. Or as some of your short earth creationists would say, about 90,000 years before the universe was created. Okay? Get that right in there. There, of course, have been thousands of religions since then. Every single one of them has either been proven wrong or is still alive, but none of them have been proven right ever. Religion is the single most divisive issue on the planet. Beyond anything and everything, nothing facilitates hatred and grief and violence more than religion. Okay? Nice, good thing to bring in there. Grief, hatred, intolerance, nothing beats religion. Now, a couple logical things that you can tell your favorite opponents. Number one, for Christians only. Okay, this is a very old thing. I think it was Ben Gurion who came up with this one. For Christians only, Christians believe in a loving, all-powerful, omniscient God. Okay? A loving and all-powerful and omniscient God. And bad things happen in this world. Okay? If the God is loving, he wouldn't want it to happen. If the God is all-powerful, he can stop it from happening and chooses, and if he's omniscient, he knows it's happening. So, remember, we're talking about all-powerful. No matter what his grand plan is, he can do it without babies being born with AIDS. That's what all-powerful means. Okay? He doesn't need babies to be born with AIDS if he's all-powerful. He doesn't. That's what all-powerful means. So don't let anybody say, oh, he needs this to do his great plan. No, he doesn't. Not if he's all-powerful. Okay? If he's good, yeah, I understand. If he's a good God, he wouldn't want it to happen. If he's omniscient, he knows it's going to happen. So one of those three things is not true. Don't use this when you're facing Jews or Muslims, because Jews and Muslims don't have a necessarily all-loving God. Only the Christians do. The next thing, this is a good one for Jews and Christians and Muslims. Okay? The fall of man. Everybody, every Abrahamic faith says God is omniscient. He knows the past, he knows the present, he knows the future. Okay? God put the tree of knowledge of good and evil in the Garden of Eden. He is omniscient. When he did that, he knew for absolute 100% fact that Adam would eat the apple. He's omniscient. He knew it. He put the tree there knowing it would happen, thereby intentionally causing the fall of man. Just as if I took this plate and dropped it, I know that it's going to fall. I would be called, and it would be me intentionally breaking the plate if I dropped this. Right? Just as accurately, actually more, God, being omniscient, was more sure when he put the tree of knowledge of good and evil in the Garden of Eden that Adam would eat it, and that it would cause the fall of man, and that billions of souls would burn in hell for all eternity. He was more sure of that than I am sure that this is going to fall to the ground when I drop it. Okay? That's what omniscient is. Therefore, God did it with intent. Let them stew on that one. There's no defense. Satan causes all the world's problems. Oh, there's good and there's evil. Okay? Nice thing to remember. But you know what? The next question is what? Is Satan all-powerful? No. God is all-powerful. Yes. So God can stop Satan anytime he wants. Yes. And God is omniscient. Yes. So God knows exactly what Satan is doing, and he has the ability to stop them. And he's choosing to let it happen. Right? Yes. So actually, Satan is doing exactly what God wants him to do. God is Satan's boss, for lack of a better word. Yes. Why are you praying to Satan's boss? Silence. Silence is a wonderful thing. Nice little logical arguments that you can remember. I'm going to, there's a lot of websites out there. If you want to get into a debate on evolution, I strongly recommend two websites, Talk Origins and TalkDesign.org. Awesome websites that give a really good refutation of the intelligent design. Atheist.org, AtheistAlliance.org, AU.org, all those .orgs on the atheist level will talk about the issues that are surrounding the current politics. Children'shealthcare.org is for those who are interested in religious exemptions for children's health care. I can beat my child with a stick because God says it's okay. There are laws that say that that's okay. In some states, you can beat a child with a stick if you do it because of legal reasons, because of religious reasons rather. You can build a church that's not up to code and put kids in there and endanger those kids because it's religious. Things like that. Randy.org is great. R-A-N-D-I, the amazing Randy. Great for refuting mythology. All right, so that's pretty much it. That's the very brief presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. I talked about where your strategy comes from, defining your strategy in advance, making your open and close in advance, putting your predictions in your open that you're going to satisfy in the close, knowing what is a win, remembering that your win is not going to come from your opponent, it's going to come from your viewers. If you don't have viewers, you need to question why you're having a debate in the first place. If it's not for practice or for money, why are you doing it? Okay? Unless you want to. Unless you want to, just keep a win in mind. If you're just doing it for fun, that's a perfectly valid win, as long as you keep it fun. Okay? I talked about the standard moves. I talked about my favorite, which is the broaden and reverse, which is when you say, okay, well, you know what? A whole bunch of people think that about a whole bunch of different gods. Why is yours different? It's a real good attack. It's a defense and it's an attack at the same time. Ignorance of fact is not evidence of fiction. Again, a defense and an offense at the same time. I talked about those nice zeros. Lots of zeros out there. I just named a few of them. No evidence of God, no evidence of of life after death, no evidence of power, nothing exists like that. And of course, no universities in the world that accept intelligent design as valid scientific theory, no research universities that accept intelligent design as scientific theory. Talked about the strategies, some facts and factoids, some nice logical quandaries that you can pose to your opponent and make him squirm in front of a whole bunch of people. You make him squirm in front of a whole bunch of people, guess what? You've won an unwinnable debate. Okay? You make your opponent squirm, he's not going to yield. In that case, it's an unwinnable debate. But if you get the people watching you to think that your opponent is a nutcase and that atheist person, he made a little bit of sense, that is how you win an unwinnable debate. And it's doable. I've done it all the time, and you can do it too. Good luck. Thank you.
You've been watching New York City Atheists live on tape, brought to you by New York City Atheists Incorporated. Our guest has been Dave Silverman, the national spokesperson of American Atheists. If you would like more information, go to our website or go to the American Atheists website. We'd like to thank you for joining us. Please join us again next week.